A wise man once said, live in the wish fulfilled. Neville Goddard, great quote. I love it. Simple and easy to understand. But how do you actually implement it? That's what we're going to talk about in this video, because this was something I pondered for a very long time before I truly understood what it means to live in the wish fulfilled. So let's break it down. What does the word live mean? Live means to be, to exist, and to progressively move through life. Living. We're breathing, we're operating, our heart is beating, we're moving with pace, we're moving throughout life. Okay, so we've established that. So live in the wish fulfilled. The wish is, in this case, the wish is the expectation, the reality you want to create, the imagination that you have in your mind that you want to bring into existence. Let's look at it that way. Fulfilled. Fulfilled is it's already done. Fulfilled is it's already actualized in this context. If we break that down, it means we're living in the now moment with the wish, with the expectation, with the goal, with the intention that we've set, as if it's already done. Now, let's break that down, because this is where things can get a little bit complex, okay? Because it's like, okay, I am a current version of me. Current version of me thinks a certain way, believes certain things, and operates on a default level of frequency and consciousness throughout the day. We all have a default state. So, with that being said, I want to create this new reality where it is different. I have this visualization, I have this, I'm working on this. This is who I'm being, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I have as a result of that. Okay, be, do, have. I always reference those three. So now I've established this kind of separation between the two. I have my current self, which is operating from a current state of frequency, current way of thinking. I'm currently being a certain way, doing certain things, and I have certain things. But this other version of me, this future version of me, this wish fulfilled that I'm thinking about, operates differently. Being a certain way, doing certain things, and having certain things as a result of that. So now there's separation between the two. So what we need to do is to bridge the gap. Because if I have this wish that I'm looking to fulfill and live in that place, I have to bring that version of me into the now moment. Which means that my thoughts, my beliefs, my default frequency, my feelings on a day-to-day basis, how I view the world, how I view myself, must be in alignment with the wish fulfilled. That version of me that lives in the wish fulfilled. We bring it into the now moment. Some people refer to this as the identity shift. Some people refer back to this as a new way of being, stepping into the highest version of you continuously, because you never arrive anywhere, because the goals change, the goalposts change. We're constantly evolving, constantly progressing. So with that being said, how do we make decisions based on this new version of ourselves rather than our current version of ourselves? That's really the thought process that helped me the most. Because when I was trying to grow my business, when I was trying to, make 5, 10, 15, 20K a month, I had to change my way of thinking in order to align with those goals that I had. Because up until that point, I had been thinking as if I was my current self. And that's where we kind of get stuck, because if we keep thinking the same way, we keep believing the same things, we feel the same, and we keep acting as a result of those things in the same way, we're going to get the same results. So we must change. And this is where actively stepping into that highest version of ourselves becomes very, very important. At every moment of every day, how do we bring that into the now moment? Well, it really does start with our beliefs. Because beliefs, perception, how we view reality, is all subjective. Because you could have two people standing beside each other, believing very different things and experiencing a very different reality, even though they're in the same environment. Okay, one person is at a party, they believe that they're going to make some amazing connections, they're going to maybe have a relationship with somebody there, they're going to make some friends. Like, there's so many different things that are going through their mind because they believe in themselves, they believe they're confident, they believe that they're going to show up and be that highest version of themselves. And they have a great time at the party as a result. Or you have another person who doesn't believe in themselves. They believe that they're not confident. They believe that they are not able to make friends as easy as other people. They believe that they're introverted. Therefore, they're not going to have a very great experience at this party, are they? Two people, different belief set, different experience, same environment. So with that being said, how do we bring this highest version of ourselves into the now moment to live in the wish fulfilled? Well, we have to think like them, which means that we have to analyze the beliefs that we have, the thoughts that we have, and the emotions that we feel, and see, do those things align at every moment with this wish fulfilled that we try to bring into existence. So that's where we look at, okay, well, what thoughts do I think on a day-to-day basis? Because 95% of the thoughts that we think today are the same as the day before. We're running on autopilot most of the time, which means that we have to become the one who intercepts that. We have to be the one who steps up and makes an active decision that I'm going to think different thoughts. And sometimes it can be that easy. Now let's come back to beliefs. So beliefs are things that we identify as we start to analyze our thoughts, because the quickest way to identify limiting beliefs is start to monitor your thoughts and where your thoughts are at. What direction is this thought bringing me in? Where did this thought come from? Is there a belief tied to this thought? There is. What belief is that? Where did that belief come from? Is that from something from the past? Is that some sort of programming I received as I was growing up? Did I get this belief from my parents? Did I get this belief from this friendship that I had? This relationship that I had? The more awareness we bring to those things, the more we can choose in that moment, I'm going to now uproot this belief and I'm going to install this belief instead, which is usually the polar opposite. And it's something that's going to align with this wish fulfilled that we're talking about here. So the mastery side of all of this is, how do we get good at monitoring our thoughts, bringing conscious awareness and zooming out to see that our thoughts are not us, they're actually separate from us and we can choose specific ones. And as we do that, and as we zoom out and gain more awareness, and you can do this through meditation, you can do this through just bringing more conscious awareness to your life in general, and then tie that to what beliefs are these tied to, where did those beliefs come from, and then uproot them and choose in that moment to make a committed decision that I no longer believe this to be true. Instead, I'm going to believe this. And then that becomes the work of programming that belief into your mind. So this can be done through things like auto-suggestion, where you constantly repeat that thought to yourself, you constantly repeat that sentence, that affirmation, some people like to call them, into your mind so that it becomes subconscious over time. Now you can do this in a more effective way through audio, like listening to audios or recording yourself and then putting some music behind it and listening to that. It's something I do in the morning and the evening. I did it for a long time in those beginning stages as well, as I was trying to become more abundant and do all those things, as well as in a meditative state, consciously bringing awareness to where your thoughts are at and then being able to imprint a certain way of thinking into your mind with intention. Now, all of this, it does require work and it requires consistency, because with anything, it requires work and consistency. So why would your mind, why would your level of mastery be any different? We're basically uprooting old programming and reinstalling new software, which is the beautiful thing about this, because our mind is malleable. We can actually do these things. This comes from the content you consume, the environment you find yourself in, monitoring your thoughts like we talked about, tying those back to beliefs, and anything else related to those areas to see, okay, what are the inputs that are going to create the output that I want? The output that I want is living in the wish fulfilled. Therefore, how do I change the inputs to result in that output? So when we come back to living in the wish fulfilled, with all of that we've just mentioned here, we're looking at how can we make decisions now that we're reprogramming our mind and we're consciously bringing awareness to that. How do we make decisions at every moment that's going to align with living in that wish fulfilled? Well, let's use a basic example of scarcity and abundance. So scarcity is when you're making decisions out of fear, you're making decisions out of lack, and you're making decisions out of there's not enough of this, there's not enough money, there's not enough opportunities, therefore I'm going to hold close what I have and have fear around not losing it. Okay, that's one way to look at scarcity. In relation to abundance, if abundance is something you want to create more of, then how can you be more abundant in the now moment? Well, that would be involving things like giving away a large sum of money, or tipping a little bit extra, or lending something to a friend in terms of money and not asking for it back, or giving a little bit more than you usually do to the taxi driver, or whatever the case is. We constantly have decisions to make on a day-to-day basis. And if we don't consciously bring awareness to how we're operating and how we are showing up in the decisions that we're making, We're constantly going to create the same results over and over again. So another way to look at this, we look at scarcity and abundance again. When you pay for something, do you see it as this expense, this loss, and you're kind of dreading looking at your bank account now that the money's gone? Or do you see it as an investment? Do you see it as a request for appreciation almost, where you receive this value, where it's like a meal or anything that may be related to that, and you see the value exchange of money to be you simply expressing your appreciation? That's a different energy, right? So if living in the wish fulfilled means being more abundant, then how can we be more abundant today? And this is where we face resistance. We face resistance because the current version of you has a certain way of thinking, a certain way of operating that gives you certainty. And when you have that certain way of operating that gives you certainty, you're going to operate in a certain way. You're going to allow that programming to just play through throughout the day. So when you try to do something different, and you try to do everything we're talking about here, there's going to be resistance, right? So it's okay to have that resistance and to know that you're pushing through it. And just to know as well that like all of this programming is simply programming, and it can be uprooted, it can be removed. It's not you. You can choose how you want to operate. And then it's about constantly being able to refine that over time so that you can truly bring this reality you want to create into your existence. Now, of course, everything we're talking about here will lead to you taking certain actions, because the more conscious awareness you bring to your mind, your emotions, how you feel about things, and the more you master those different areas, which is that journey of self-mastery, the more that your actions and behaviors will change over time as well, which will create an external result for you. So everything is tied together. We're not just sitting around and we're not just thinking about our thoughts all the time and trying to monitor them. These are going to lead to certain actions, and those certain actions will create a certain result for you. That result will feed back into your belief system and be able to show you proof as to why this new process that you've been implementing, this new programming that you've been implementing into yourself, is now creating an external result. You do that over a long enough period of time, you've now created a whole new reality for yourself. Now, with everything we've mentioned here, there's a variety of different methodologies and systems that you can do to really be able to do this on a day-to-day basis consistently without you always having to really think about it consciously. And if you want to learn more about some of those ways, I would recommend to join our private community. You can see the links in the description below, or else check out some of our programs as well. So if you want to go on that journey, it's about bringing real conscious awareness to your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and all those things, and just see how they connect with the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis. Because when we say that we want to live in the wish fulfilled, we say that we want to live from a certain way of being, a certain identity that we want to hold. So how do we do that? Well, we bring it into the now moment, but that takes work. That takes you bringing conscious awareness to, oh, am I going to make decisions from abundance today? Or am I going to make decisions from scarcity? Am I going to act on this opportunity? Or am I going to step back into fear and not take action on it? That's where the work comes into play. And then you hold the frequency, you monitor the thoughts, make sure that they're in alignment with that. And then you work on your energetic state of being, which can be done through working with a coach or just your own internal work in terms of meditation. Always getting an external source is always a really good option to accelerate that journey, but you can do this through a variety of different ways. Breath work, meditation, they're all different ways, and everybody's journey is very unique with this. So just be kind to yourself, give yourself grace as you kind of navigate this to understand more about how to do this in the best way possible for you specifically. So with all that being said, that's how I think about bringing the reality into the now, living in the wish fulfilled. That identity that is associated with this wish fulfilled that we're talking about, how can we bring it into the now moment? At every moment, from the second you wake up, from the second you go to sleep, from the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you feel, the emotions that fluctuate throughout the day, the actions that you take, the behaviors that you form over time, the vision that you have, the reason why you're doing everything that you're doing in the first place. All this is going to play a very important role in you living in that wish fulfilled. So this has been Jordan. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe. And if you have thoughts you want to share, I read all the comments. Drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. I'll see you in the next video.